So if you look behind those massive 4K displays in, a modern sports bar or a high-end conference room, you actually won't find a single standard video cable.
No, you really won't.
Right. Instead, that pristine video you're watching is being quietly carried by, like, the exact same cheap network cable you'd use to plug in a desktop computer.
It's pretty wild to think about.
Yeah. So today, we're doing a deep dive into the technology making that possible. We were looking at a highly specific piece of, Pro AV gear, which is the Hall Technologies HT-DSCV1-70-TX Discovery 1 transmitter.
That is quite a mouthful of a name, but yeah, it's essential gear.
It really is. But based on a source page we have from HDTVSupply, our mission here is to figure out how this unassuming little wall plate basically replaces thousands of dollars of messy wiring.
Well, it represents a really fundamental shift in room design. I mean, we all know standard HDMI cables hit a physical wall pretty quickly.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, try running a standard HDMI 50 feet across a room, and the signal just completely degrades into digital snow. So the HT-DSCV1 solves this by taking uncompressed 4K video at 60 Hz and repackaging it.
Repackaging it to travel over standard twisted pair Ethernet cables, right, using that HDBaseT technology.
Exactly. And the specs here are fascinating.
Yeah, because it shows that if you use a standard Cat5e or Cat6 cable, you can send that massive 4K data up to 115 feet.
Right, which is already a huge jump.
But then, if you upgrade to a heavier-duty Cat6a or Cat7 cable, you suddenly squeeze out 131 feet. So my question is, why does just changing the cable itself alter the distance limit for the exact same video signal?
So it all comes down to how the data is protected. You see, 4K 60 Hz video requires massive bandwidth.
Right.
And as that data travels, it generates electromagnetic interference, which can actually bleed into the adjacent wires. We call that crosstalk.
Okay, crosstalk.
Yeah, so a Cat7 cable is physically constructed with much stricter shielding around each individual pair of twisted wires, specifically to block that interference.
So it's not like you're pushing the signal harder, like, jacking up the water pressure in a hose or something. It's actually about protecting the signal's integrity.
That is exactly right.
It's kind of like the difference between trying to shout a really complex message across a loud, crowded room where words just get lost versus sending a perfectly sealed, encrypted text message over a secure Wi-Fi network.
Oh, that's a perfect way to look at it. The Cat7 cable basically just provides a much quieter room for the data to travel through.
Got it.
And that cleaner physical environment inside the heavy-duty cable is what prevents the signal from degrading past the point of recognition, which, buys you that extra 16 feet of flawless transmission.
Okay, let's talk about everything else this wall plate is doing, because this is where I was genuinely skeptical reading this source.
It does a lot more than just video.
Right. It features one-way power over HDBaseT. So the wall plate is powered entirely by the receiver at the other end.
Exactly. No extra power outlet needed in the wall.
And it also has USB 2.0 pass-through, giving you 4 ports on the receiver, 2 of which output 1.4 amps to handle power-hungry gear, like, those big 4K cameras.
Yeah, it's basically an invisible nervous system for the room.
Plus, it extracts audio directly into a room speaker system. But wait. I know you're familiar with standard power over Ethernet.
Sure.
But if I'm running 1.4 amps of high-draw power to run a camera on the exact same copper wires that are carrying my pristine, uncompressed 4K video, why doesn't that power completely scramble the data?
Well, it seems like it should, right?
Yeah, I mean, standard HDMI cables freak out if you just bend them too sharply.
Right. Well, that is the real engineering feat here. It's not just, shoving power and data into the same pipe and hoping for the best. HDBaseT uses a highly advanced form of multiplexing.
Multiplexing?
Right. It essentially modulates the video, the audio, the USB data, and the power at entirely different frequencies.
Oh, I see.
So because the high voltage direct current power runs at a vastly different frequency than the high-speed data packets, they pass right by each other on the same physical copper pairs. They never actually see or interfere with one another.
So you are basically creating completely isolated, invisible lanes of traffic on a single cable.
Precisely. And doing it with absolute zero latency.
Wow. I mean, if you've ever had to design a corporate meeting space, you know the absolute nightmare of integrating separate USB extenders, power drops, and video matrices on a single conference table.
Oh, yeah, it's always a mess.
But here, this single cable is handling the video, routing the mic audio, running the camera, and powering the wall plate itself, all simultaneously.
It really is incredible. You're getting enterprise-level stability hidden right in the drywall. It completely changes the return on investment for commercial AV installations.
because you eliminate all those extra cables.
Exactly. You eliminate the traditional failure points of multiple cables and external power supplies.
And looking at the cost, our HDTV supply source lists it at about $330 and even mentions a 15% off code floating around.
Which is a steal for what it actually does.
Totally. For that price, this single gang wall plate really is replacing thousands of dollars in separate networking infrastructure.
Yeah, it just simplifies everything.
So next time you sit in a high-tech meeting room or, even just look at your own home theater, think about the invisible nervous system hiding behind the drywall.
It definitely makes you wonder what's next.
It really does. As commercial technology like this becomes more accessible, it makes you wonder, could the future of our own smart homes rely entirely on single network cables, just quietly hiding in our walls, powering and connecting absolutely everything we own?